What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be continuing our Venus through House series, and we'll be discussing Venus in the 11th house. We're almost at the end of the line, y'all. It's been a beautiful, beautiful journey around the zodiac, and today, we keep it going. Venus in the 11th house. Yesterday, we covered Venus in the 10th, where we took everything that Venus represents, which is love, beauty, pleasure, creativity, relationships, and we put that into our work. And what we found out yesterday, that Venus in that house actually becomes a little bit detached from work, because as you'll see in life, sometimes you just have to sacrifice certain things. But when you do, you can always still get what you want. In the 11th house, which is the house of group partnerships, humanitarian efforts, innovation, so a lot. It's a lot with that 11th house. It's a beautiful thing. It's the original house of Aquarius, which reflects the time period in which we're living in. When Venus gets into that house, she understands, or this energy understands, that I could do it alone, but I really don't want to. I want to take my talents and combine them with the group. And remember the saying, there is strength in numbers. So Venus in the 11th house, with it being the planet of relationships, is very much so attached to their social circle. And their social circle, or their group of friends, does a number of things for them. One, it helps enhance their creativity. And this creativity can be seen through many different factors in the chart. Opposite to the 11th house is the 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of individuality and creative expression. And I always use this example for the 5th house and the 11th house. The 5th house shows our talent. The 11th house shows the group for our talent, or a place to put our talent, a place where our talent is well received. Okay? So if the talent is being a great athlete, the 11th house is the team that the athlete belongs to. And the sign that Venus is in is going to color how that team or group operates. So naturally, if it's in a fire sign, this is going to be a very motivated team. The people and group that Venus surrounds itself with are going to be very outgoing. They're going to be very dynamic, okay, and explorative. So this Venus in fire can experience a lot of movement, a lot of hands-on experience through their groups. And, you know, in the terms of sports, that really works well with fire, because, like I said, it's hands-on, it's physical. If it's air, it's going to brighten up Venus's intellectual capabilities. The communication within the groups are going to be key. And whatever the group stands for will likely have its base in some type of intellectual grounding. All right, but like I said, there's many factors in the chart, so you definitely want to look at your sun, because that's your individuality, and you also want to look at your ascendant, because it naturally sextiles this house. So your ascendant will really show what type of essence you truly bring to that group. But your Venus sign here, if this is you with Venus in the 11th, it really reflects the type of people that you are going to attract. All right. If it's Earth, you're gonna have grounded, practical friends. If it's Capricorn, most definitely points to older people or people involved in corporate or government jobs. All right. Virgo, people, likely your co-workers. So wherever you work, your co-workers are really going to be that group that you really choose to associate with. If it's Taurus, people who enjoy the finer things in life. It'll probably show you grew up or you associate with people, who are about their money, who are about their wealth. And then we have water. This creates an emotional dynamic for Venus. Venus here itself becomes very attached to the group, and obviously if it's Cancer, there's going to be a motherly approach to the group. If it's Scorpio, that's where it gets interesting. Like I said, there's going to be a very, very much so influence. The friends are going to influence Venus in a particular type of way. So if it's Scorpio, you could have, friends who are into all types of stuff, from the occult down to just criminal activity. And then if it's Pisces, that's spirituality. That is people associating with people from different cultures and things of that nature. So element of sign is definitely going to give you a whole lot of insight. For my 90s babies, you know what Venus in the 11th always makes me think of? Remember the show Recess, and the group of girls, the Ashleys? It was about 5 girls all named Ashleys, and they all walked around with each other and did everything together. This is very much so Venus in the 11th early on in life. This, especially like I said, if the sun isn't strong, if that 5th house isn't too strong, this Venus will tend to follow the crowd early on, and it'll teach them, a lot about group dynamics, whether or not they need to speak up more, whether or not their talent, how they can, display their talent. But for my 80s babies, I definitely, I grew up watching a whole lot of Behind the Music. So I've seen so many shows about bands, and the 80s were a very, very Aquarian time to me. So the era of boy bands or rock bands, that is Venus in the 11th as well. How can I take my talent and infuse it with a group? All right. So this house, the 11th house, is also connected to the 9th house, and naturally sextiles it as well. So this is not, with the 9th house being higher learning, these are people, that if they do go to college, they can easily join a frat or a sorority, okay, some type of, I don't want to say secret society, but, something to belong to the group that really gives them perspective and love for life. So these people with Venus in the 11th are very much so proud of that group that they belong to. So just to go back maybe Scorpio or something, or say you got Venus here in the 11th and the 8th house influence, that can definitely show you joining a quote-unquote secret society, all right? And, just a lot of different things will play out. So keep in mind, if you've yet to find that group, you got to say to yourself, okay, have I found my talent? Do I know how I want to implement it? One thing with the universe, when you set out to, put your stamp on the world, it supports you. So from the 5th house to the 11th house, it's a natural thing. All right. If you seek a group, you will find it. And then it's just a matter of how you fit in that group. Aspects are going to show us, aspects really will show us the real kind of dynamics within the group. So if it's, regardless of sign, if you're getting a good aspect towards Neptune or Uranus, your friends in your social circle are going to reflect the energy of that planet that Venus is aspecting. Okay, so if it's Mars, if it's aspecting Mars, even more, it shows even more that you would probably be some type of athlete. Okay, Neptune, that your spirituality or religion is going to be a central part in the people that you associate with. So definitely want to pay attention to the aspects. In terms of the opposition to the 5th house, this really opens it up, where with Venus being love and everything, us finding love or romance within our partnerships with our friends. Okay, especially, Venus is attraction, so we're not always associating with people of just the same sex or whatever. So this Venus easily, gets hit on. They have a natural, remember, Venus is charm. So this Venus is naturally flirty in a way. And then if there is fifth house influence, it's just going to bring it to you. Now, is this always the best thing? A lot of things in the chart have to be evaluated. What I've seen is that you really want to pay attention to the Mars, because the Mars shows us what we're attracted to. Venus is like, these are the people that I want to have relationships with. And then Mars is like, but this is what I'm attracted to. So what happens is a lot of times the conflict occurs that Venus is attracted to people who aren't a part of the social group, like really like people who don't fit in with what they're about. And then once they get in that relationship, the partner notices like, okay, you spend a lot of time with your friends, and little conflicts can arise from then. So an overall wisdom is that especially with a person with this, whatever person you attract, you have to introduce them to what you're about. If this is a huge part, if you are into the occult, if you are into anything, even if it's like, really something really feminine and you're a woman, or a guy and it's really masculine, you want to introduce your partner to that, all right? So if you like going out to sporting events, you got to bring your partner along. You have to merge that. You have to find that balance, okay? But in terms of Venus getting things done, it goes really, really well. And the group and the friends assist in that. So Venus is, like I said before, attraction, and it's also a benefit planet. So in this, the group is beneficial to this individual. All right? If you have that influence where you're around a lot of successful or, wealthy people, it would be very easy for this Venus to use its powers, to, get a loan, or, get one of these friends to go into business with them to further their ambitions. Because people see the light of this Venus, and then the charm and everything there just holds it all together. But it is definitely one thing that this Venus expects is help from their friends. Because like I said in the beginning, their idea is that I could do this alone, but I don't want to. There's strength in numbers. Depending on how your chart plays out, right? Say if maybe you have the sun here, you're going to, at some point, you're going to have to exercise your individuality, or you can't overly depend on the group. There's going to be certain factors where you have to look at it as like, okay, this is my group, but where am I going to shine on my own? So you don't want to over-identify with the group. With Venus being beauty and relating to fashion and stuff like that, it really does reflect in the person. So this person will have a really peculiar look about them fashion-wise. They're gonna see that original Aquarius influence is gonna come out some way, somehow. So this can be a person, like I said, check your ascendant. It'll show, like, if it's like a Gemini or Pisces rising, this is someone who could switch up their look a lot, okay? And then the look and, a lot of things about the personality are going to change based on the groups that they're within. Creativity-wise, is the person has an inclination to do something different. So looking at the sign, like I said, looking at your sun is going to show you how you can and your fifth house, how you can best innovate. So let's say you got a talent for like photography, right? And that's seen in the fifth house. And let's say that fifth house is Sagittarius, right? And then your 11th house is Gemini. You want your art, or that talent, to be reflected in like, because Sagittarius is culture, you want your photography to reflect, that Sagittarius influence. And then how you get it going in the 11th house, if it will be the Gemini, will be constant communication, constant, different types of photographs. So you want to, in a way, to get the best out of this axis, you want to combine them. You want to combine the 5th with the 11th, even if there's no planets in the 5th, okay? So y'all, this is my interpretation of Venus in the 11th house. We got one more episode left. Venus in the 12th. I know a lot of y'all been waiting on that one. I'm excited to do it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. If you need a reading, holla at me. Till next time, peace.